Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com, and we are at the Verizon Wireless National Test Lab in Bedminster, New Jersey. Pocketnow was invited to an exclusive tour of the facilities here, so I'm very curious to see what we have inside here and hopefully learn some interesting things too. So, we'll see you soon. So here we are in the Verizon Building on our way to the phone lab. See you in a sec. So here we are about to enter a shielded room where a lot of testing is done. There are a lot of these shielding rooms inside of this facility here to test various things. And we're going to go inside and take a look at it. Okay, we're not inside of a bomb shelter right now. This is actually a shielded room, meaning that I do not have any cell phone reception, of course. The purpose of this is so that Verizon can isolate all of the, or kind of cut out all the signals from various radio frequencies and be able to test devices in a very isolated environment. So the floor, what's the floor made out of?
The floor is anti-static.
Anti-static floor, so they've got everything covered here. Pretty much it's just a variety of testing equipment. Each one of these towers kind of represents a network so that they can get into a particular network, get a GPS feed if necessary. Things like that. And then they have these boxes, which are also shielded boxes, and the purpose for this is so that they can do tests inside of a box. If somebody opens one of the exterior doors, then some signal may get in, but if the device is being tested inside of one of these RF enclosures, then there will be no signal leak in there. And if you've ever wondered why your device has a port for the antenna on the back or for the GPS, that's for testing, so the Verizon or the carrier can plug into your device in the lab and get readings off of it and that sort of thing when it's kind of in this isolated environment. So here we are in the audio room. This is where Verizon has their manufacturers make sure that they adhere to certain audio requirements so that the earpiece isn't too loud or so the microphone is sensitive enough. So they have these chambers that are completely soundproof. They have a dummy inside of it with a fake silicon ear that allows you to kind of replicate the human ear, and this is where they make sure that everything sounds okay when you get the phone at the store. So this apparatus is actually supposed to model the density of a human head, so inside there's a kind of watery saline solution, and this test is used so that they put a cell phone on one side of the head and they make sure that, you know, if you're traveling down the highway, for example, and you're getting a signal from this side of your body, that there's no interference from your head that will block the cell phone signal, and this is supposed to be an average human-sized head with a replicated density. Here we have kind of a museum of old Verizon phones, and I think some of these will look familiar to you. So you've got the old ESN reader, you've got a lot of kind of car phones that your mom and dad may have had, or even your grandparents, and then we have the Zach Morris phone right here. Or a variation of it. It is extremely heavy, and it has a screen that can only display a few numbers, of course, with a massive battery. It's basically just a battery, a few buttons, and a large antenna. Alright, and then we start to get into the smaller form factors, like the StarTAC, or kind of the predecessor to the StarTAC. And then we have some other candy bar devices. And then they make a dramatic leap from these kind of thick form factors to the smaller ones down here. And there's the kind of the last StarTAC here, the silver one, which a lot of people had. And then we get into some smartphones. So we have some Palm-based smartphones down here. Kyocera model, and of course the Samsung i300, which you may remember. And then we continue, we get smaller and smaller, and then we get to some modern day phones. But the timeline kind of stops here at around 2002, so we have, you know, the Samsung A30 up here behind the sign. And then we also see some pagers. This is one of the original pagers, but of course it didn't have a screen, so if you got a page from someone, you didn't know who it was coming from. Unless, well, if one person had your pager number, then you knew who was paging you. Then yeah, the old style Motorola pagers, doctors, lawyers, some of them still actually use pagers today. So that is the Verizon Museum. A lot of interesting devices that I think a lot of us remember from the past. Alright guys, that pretty much concludes the tour of the Verizon National Test Lab. Be sure you check out the write-up on Pocketnow.com, where I'll tell you all the details that you didn't see on camera. You know, the stuff that I can talk about, of course. That's it for now.